Now, here's the really cool part. People with ADHD have about 30 to 80% more of these vacuum cleaners on their nerve cells in the basal ganglia. And the other cool part is, you want to know what Ritalin does to the brain or Concerta when you take it? It goes right there and it plugs up the vacuum cleaner. Like a sock at the end of a vacuum hose, methylphenidate stops the transporter from working. What does that do? Leaves more dopamine outside your nerve cell. Methylphenidate is a dopamine reuptake inhibitor. By the way, Strattera does the same thing, but it does it for norepinephrine, a little bit for dopamine. But nevertheless, we can now link a gene to a problem in the brain, and we can link that problem to a drug. You shouldn't be surprised to find that that gene is a predictor of who is going to respond to methylphenidate, at least in the last 3 studies that have looked at it. Which means that sometime in the future, when you go into an office, we may take some of your saliva, genotype you, and decide which drug to give you. Because it's looking like genes will predict your drug response. So I would want families to know that, because that's probably 5 years out, maybe. Maybe more, maybe less. But it's not just genes. Genes can interact with your environment, and that's the purpose of this slide, is to show you very quickly a paper published a year ago by Richard Todd, who died suddenly shortly after publishing this paper, one of our great psychiatric geneticists in St. Louis. What you are seeing here is children who were genotyped to see whether or not they had that DAT gene I just mentioned and another risk gene. A plus means you got the gene, a minus means you didn't. Now the top line, you see those Y's and N's? That's whether or not your mother smoked during her pregnancy with you. I want you to look all the way over here, right side. If you got both of these genes and your mother smoked cigarettes, you are 8 times more likely to get this disorder than anybody who had either one of those causes. That is a gene by toxin interaction. And we have now found the same thing for alcohol. So some ADHD is the result of both a genetic predisposition of risk and the fact that the mother may have consumed a toxin during the pregnancy of that child.